My name is Renard, and I would describe my work as brutally uncompromising because it is non-dualistic. It is saying that of the two worlds, the world of God and the world of man, that only the world of God is true. And I just did an interview with Regina, and we're going to be saying things to you that you do not want to hear. These are pretty much the kinds of things that are reserved for people who attain enlightenment. And that's what we're talking about. I think that what helps me the most is that every morning when I wake up, I put the Holy Spirit in charge of my day. And I always try to remember the Holy Spirit whenever I can, but that at the beginning of the day puts me in the habit right from the beginning of doing that. So it's like whenever I have a difficulty or I'm not quite sure what to do or what to think, I look to the Holy Spirit in my mind. But saying that at the beginning of the day puts me in the right frame of mind to do that throughout the entire day. I would tell them that they're not ready for it. It's just too much. It's not for spiritual beginners. This is for people who have been around the block a couple of times. This is for people with a spiritual background who have noticed a lot of things and know that there's something wrong with this world, that there's something more. And then I would say, if you think that you're ready for it, which you're probably not, but if you think that you're ready for it, then maybe you should look into it. And you're not going to understand it because, it's 500,000 words of something that you're not going to get. But if you read my first book, The Disappearance of the Universe, it will explain it to you. Then when you go back and read it again, it'll make sense to you. I'm not the teacher in my books. I'm the student in my books. But the best place to actually get what A Course in Miracles is saying would be to read my first book, The Disappearance of the Universe, because it takes a lot of quotations from the Course. And I didn't know this until it was pointed out to me later. There were exactly 365 quotations from A Course in Miracles in my books. And I didn't even know that until later. But the reason that my teachers included so many quotations from the Course in that book was so that people would realize that what they were saying was the same thing that what the Course is saying, which is why I would say, look, not because of me, but because of my teachers, the best place for you to start would be by reading my first book. I was meditating one day in my living room in Maine, which I used to do, and I opened my eyes and there were two people sitting there on my living room couch. And there was this beautiful, wonderful, amazing-looking woman, absolutely exquisite, wonderful, and some guy. But it was like they looked real, and they seemed real. Now, it took me years to realize that they were actually the Holy Spirit appearing as these people. There's a reality behind every symbol. It's like we appear to be a body, but we're not. There's a symbol behind that. And the symbol that's behind them was the fact that they were spirit. They were the Holy Spirit speaking as these people. And it took me a long time to realize that. So at first, they were to me like real people. And they started to talk to me. And the only reason that I wasn't afraid was because they looked so peaceful. They just looked totally non-threatening. It's like nothing to be worried about. So I listened to them, and I found what they were saying to be interesting. So I kept listening, and the result was my first book was 17 conversations that took place over a period of 9 years. And you can actually see the timeline in my life, because I describe what was going on in my life throughout that entire period in Maine. So you not only get the teachings, but you also get a time capsule of my life. She really wanted to talk about my fourth book, which is called The Lifetimes When Jesus and Buddha Knew Each Other. And the subtitle is A History of Mighty Companions, because it turns out that I thought that after I did my third book, it was all over, that it was a trilogy. It was going to be over. And my teachers aren't in person. I figured, well, probably never see him again. But I made a mistake. I asked him a question because I had by then become accustomed to talking to them in my mind. And I said, there's something I forgot to ask you, because I used to always forget to ask them certain questions. How did Jesus get to be Jesus, really? How did Buddha get to be Buddha? What were they like in the lifetimes before or just before they were Jesus and Buddha? And the answer to that question turned out to be more than I bargained for, because it turned out to be a whole book. And we got very much in depth about the book and about Jesus and Buddha, and they did have relationships with each other before their final incarnations, which most people don't know, and this was news to me. I don't know the stuff in my books until it's given to me. And it's like, wow, so it turns out that they actually followed similar paths to becoming the enlightened beings that they became. I want Gaia viewers to walk away knowing that most of what they believe is not true, and that they are about to be introduced to something that they are probably not going to be happy with, but that will save them a hell of a lot of time. Because what Jesus and Buddha are teaching in that fourth book, and what A Course in Miracles is teaching in the first book, and what the Disappearance of the Universe is teaching, is how you can save yourself a lot of time. The Course in Miracles says the chief aim of the miracle worker is to save time. It says that the miracle, which is a certain kind of forgiveness, which is not the kind of forgiveness that people think about. It's more a quantum kind of forgiveness. It says the miracle can substitute for learning that may have taken thousands of years. So I am interested in saving you thousands of years. You may not like what you're hearing at first, but it will save you a hell of a lot of time. The happy dream is not dependent on what appears to be going on in the world. The happy dream is there for you regardless of what appears to be going on in the world. And that state of mind can only be brought about by the way that you are looking at things. Then these things become an opportunity instead of a problem.